Hello and welcome back to the Hidden Archives. I am Agent Number 1 coming to you online today to report what I believe are going to be some game-changing findings. As you know, I proposed a project last month in which I stated that if given the grant, I would be analysing 16 potential internship candidates. Unpaid, of course. Well, I didn't receive the grant, but I went ahead and did the work anyway. On the clock. Deal with it, Kyle. So without too much introduction, as I believe that the findings pretty much speak for themselves, I present to you 16 personalities ranked based on how much of an asset they would be to the secret plan, TM. The secret plan, TM, as you know, was my idea first, and so to uphold the integrity of said plan, we have to properly look into, sometimes to the extent of full criminal and background checks, anyone we're thinking of bringing on board. So let's go through the categories. Our first category is strong recommend. This is for types who I believe we would be idiotic not to consider for a role. This could be because they're innovative thinkers, have a strong work ethic, loose with the morals, competent at finding loopholes in red tape, or just a general disdain for authority. Category 2 is everyone else. Anyone who isn't an absolute yes is a no, as we can't risk this plan leaking. I did, however, make a separate category for emotional liability. This is for any type who is both emotional and a liability, and the two are very often connected. And those are all the categories I made because they do the trick, and you watch, Kyle, I will prove that you don't need to say in 2 hours what could be said in 10 minutes. Beginning with INTJ, this is our first strong recommend for the day. I often sense that INTJs and I have a hidden mode of communication that no one else can understand. Most of the time we use this for dry jokes about humanity, but the INTJ has also occasionally fed me cheats for poker, as well as the geographical locations for our secret cult. I mean charity. I bet you will think that I'm going to be putting INFP in emotional liability because you reckon that I'm nothing more than a slave to the pull of the MBTI stereotypes. Guess I'm not as predictable as you thought. However, I am still going to be putting them in no, because in my background check on them I discovered that they were fired from not 1, not 2, but 3 jobs for, quote, working at a pace that reduced profits more than if we'd just not hired anyone in the first place. ESTJ, well, we can't be having any rule-following fools involved with a secret plan, TM, so see you later. In fact, you know what? Let's just get all of the SJs out of the way in the interest of time. Can't think out of the box to save their lives. Oh, except ESFJ, who I'm going to put in EL because she has a particular softness to her voice whenever there's conflict involved, and it infuriates me. Based on how INTP performed in the recent commercial that I had them all do, and I'll insert a clip here for reference, You're My Type is an app that uses personality types to help you make friends or find love. You can match with exciting new people all over the world and get to know each other privately or on the community page, on which you can also post memes, ask questions, and have interesting discussions with other like-minded souls. The app also contains a personality test, on which I got a perfect score, and a compatibility test. Yay, tests! As well as lots of information about compatibility between types, if you're into that. But that's not all. You can send an introduction message when you like a profile. I love to prematurely introduce myself. You can take a look at everyone who's liked your profile and choose to match with only verified profiles. All for free. So what are you waiting for? Your very next friend? Or even your soulmate could be just one click away. Visit the link in the description of this video and download You're My Type today. This clip actually proves that the INTP is incapable of speaking under pressure, which bodes well for the discretion that is absolutely necessary when discussing the secret plan, TM. So I monitored the INTP for several days, and by monitored them I mean inserted secret cameras into their house, of course, and after confirming in fact that they did not utter a single syllable for several days, I decided to look a little bit more into their background. The INTP actually possesses a unique aptitude for hacking, one that is so dangerous that large corporations should be scared, though I'm not sure how aware the INTP is of this great potential, given that the only systems they've hacked into are systems that they have generated to test their own hacking skills. What a waste. People shouldn't have gifts unless they're going to use them to advance in society. I would use that gift much more than the INTP ever could. If only they'd use those skills to hack into the secret cameras that suspiciously popped up out of nowhere in their house, I wouldn't now have access to their PIN number, Netflix password, and 270,000 page novel about ducks. Needless to say, this is a skill that we could absolutely milk. Now, speaking of milk, it took me a while to work out the ISTP, let me tell you that, because it seemed like there was some kind of mental blockage when I tried to intuit their motives. I was also suspicious because they were the only one out of 16 that did not try to pick up the $5 note that I glued to the ground en route to their place of work. Well, aside from the INFP, but getting lost and therefore taking the day off work because they couldn't be bothered to navigate a map does not count. But then I thought to myself, What if the Istp knew that I was watching them? Which would show a keen eye for detail. So I did what any overly intelligent person would do, and I laid out a series of puzzles in and around their house. But to my disappointment, when faced with the options of $10,000, a university scholarship, and a shovel, they picked the shovel. Which to me just shows a lack of ambition, to be honest, so it's a no from me. That took way too long to explain, but it was worth it to show off my cool detective work. Let's knock out some easy ones that I can't be bothered explaining. ESTP, way too trigger happy. We've been working on this secret plan, TM, for 7 years now, and I don't need old e-ciggy vaping, wife-beater wearing McGee here to spoil our plans for us. ENTJ, Mr. Big Shot, thinks he knows everything. Not an original idea in his head. I've thought of everything that he's thought of. He's a danger to the project, and he's intimidated by me just because I'm also an ENTJ. What's that about? INFJ asks way too many questions. I don't need the moral police sniffing around my work. They will not like what they find, let me tell you. Especially when they look into the taxes. I think we could have an ESFP work for the secret plan, TM, but I actually doubt whether they're, to be frank, intelligent enough to grasp the ins and outs of the work that we do. I did in my digging, however, find out that they are happy to act for money, which we could totally use for conning people. And see, this is why we don't need the INFJ sniffing around. ENFP. Look, respectfully, the very fact that the plan is secret should already reveal where I'm going to be putting the ENFP. Possibly the worst secret keepers in existence. And no, ENFPs, it is not okay to just tell a few of my close friends as long as they promise not to say anything. People can't be trusted. They always say something. Be better. That said, I am exempt from that secret keeping rule because letting out secrets is okay if you use those secrets to get ahead in life. ENFJ, gosh. I don't need someone trying to create a peaceful space around me or cleanse my aura with some puppy art or play some getting to know you games in the office or talking to me. I don't need to get to know my colleagues, thank you. Friendship creates obstacles to the goal, as I've tried to tell my husband many times. Emotional liability, and I don't want to hear anything about stereotypes. ISFP, look, I think they'd be offended by most of what we do here at the Secret Plan TM, especially the shark pool, so I'm going to save us the time there. And ENTP matches most of the top tier qualities that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. Innovative, disdain for authority, can find loopholes, loose with the morals, but unfortunately their work ethic comes in short, unpredictable bursts rather than consistent efforts, so they don't make the cut. Also, I don't need them disdaining my authority, because my authority is the right authority. So there we have it. 2 candidates. I kind of did this as a formality, but I've already made a move to involve them as my decisions are the right decisions, so they are currently blindfolded in the basement. They'll make a fine replacement for one of you. Kyle, make sure you message your loved ones tonight. Just because that's a nice thing to do sometimes, I've heard. And if you've got a problem with this ranking, just remember that I could do the entirety of the secret plan, TM, by myself if it wasn't for the fact that certain stages of the plan require multiple bodies. I mean parties. And see, the beauty of not having an ESFP around right now is that I don't have to clarify what kind of parties I meant there. You're all disappointments. I'll see you next Wednesday. Now excuse me, I'm gonna go do this for my other 5 businesses.